What's going on, family? Hope everybody's having a great day, great night, wherever you're watching this from. Really quick, I want to talk about emotional investment and physical investment. I kind of feel like a lot of us, I want to talk about the good in it, and I want to talk about how unhealthy it is. It just depends on what kind of relationship you have, or if you're in a relationship, you'll be able to decipher the difference. But real quick, emotional investment is very crucial to building a healthy relationship. If you're not in a relationship and you want the emotional investment, then you're going to have to start off with letting someone know exactly what your intentions are and what you want. The problem with a lot of us is that we do it backwards. For those that are not in a relationship, we'll have the physical investment before we get the emotional investment, and we're trying to figure out exactly why we're feeling the way we're feeling. Well, because number one, you invested the physical into it, because that physical becomes an emotional investment that confuses you and puts your heart at risk. You're not able to get the things or receive the things that you really want from the person that you're involved with, because now it's much more physical than it is emotional, and it becomes very confusing. So for those that are in a relationship, there has to be a balance. You just can't have the emotional side without the physical, and you can't have the physical without the emotional. And we understand that in order to have that balance, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take for us to be patient with each other, but it's also going to take for us to be able to be honest about the things that is lacking in our relationship in order to make sure that there's a healthy balance and a healthy bond between the both of us. So this emotional balance is emotional things that needs to take place within your relationship, as well as the physical side, can really become very confusing. And the reason being is because a lot of people put a lot more effort into one thing instead of putting a lot more effort into both of them. For some reason, you have someone that is much more physical, but they're not able to express their feelings. So the way that they express themselves through touch. They express themselves through just words, but they're not acting out what they're really trying to say. And so this really brings a disconnect in a lot of relationships, because people will connect with somebody on a physical level, but the emotional side is lacking. And they're trying to figure out, why is it that they really can't grow with the person? What is it? The chemistry is not there. There is no real, you're not able to have open conversations about the struggles and the things that you're dealing with. You're not able to talk about the things that you need to work on and change. And these emotional attachments that take place within the relationship is what's going to strengthen it. It's what's going to build it. It's what's going to allow you to be able to really get a chance to know that person. And what happens is, people, for some reason, they try to figure out exactly what went wrong in their relationship, because it's one or the other. It's the emotional side or the physical side. Now, you have a lot of people that are intimate, and the intimacy is there, but their heart is not into it like it used to be, because that emotional side, that intimacy from the physical side is only temporary, and we try to cover up things because we're so physically in tune with someone that we're not emotionally driven to building and sustaining a healthy relationship and a really good bond between that person. And it becomes very stagnant. It becomes to a place to where you really can't grow with that person, because now here you are fighting for the attention of somebody that is already emotionally tapped out. They might still be there physically, but they've emotionally tapped out. And this commonly happens with women, of course, because men are much more physically driven than they are emotionally driven, and women are much more emotionally driven than they are physically driven. And so what happens is, you'll have a woman that she's emotionally connected to you. So when she's emotionally connected to you, she's able to give herself to you physically freely. She's able to, do it over and over again. Whether it's time, whether it's intimacy, whether it's just her just being able to comfort you when you need it. This doesn't happen all the time, but it's because that emotional attachment is there. So We have to make sure that whatever we're creating, however we're driven, the things that we're doing in our relationships, the things that we're doing with the people that we're with, we have to make sure that we're not creating unhealthy bonds emotionally and physically. So you got to think about that, all right? Last but not least, always remember, there's some moment in your life, God is bigger than this moment, and that's the reason why we got to continue to press. Have a blessed and wonderful day.